Hi everyone, it's Rishma, Occupational Therapist from OT for Life. Hope you're all doing well. Just want to spend a few minutes today and talk about the connection between judgment and stress. And so when we talk about judgment, we're talking about how as human beings, we tend to make judgments about ourselves as well as about other people all the time. We're constantly making judgments about the different situations that we may find ourselves in. And the connection between judgment and stress happens in a couple of different ways. So one of them is the judgments that we make about ourselves, right? And so when we are judgmental about ourselves and when we sort of beat ourselves up for not being smart enough or not being fast enough or not being good enough or not being skinny enough or pretty enough or rich enough, when we make those kinds of judgments on ourselves, that increases our stress, right? Because that's one of the things we talked about at the very, very beginning of the video series, is how the expectations we have of ourselves can really lead to an increase in our stress levels, right? So when we are judging ourselves in our head and telling ourselves that we're not good enough, that can definitely increase our stress levels. The other way that judgment works to increase our stress levels is that if we find ourselves being negatively judgmental about other people, then it can lead to tension in relationships, right? So if you are actually, verbally judgmental towards someone, and sort of are, you tell them that, right? Then obviously that can lead to tension and stress in the relationship. But sometimes we may not tell the person to their face what judgments we're making about them, but we may participate in gossip, right? Where we will actually make judgments about someone else behind their backs. And so, judgment will increase our stress because at the end of the day, I think that we all realize and are aware that judging someone negatively is not right? It's not right. And so when we participate in gossip or when we just make judgments about somebody based on how they're dressed or based on some words that they might say or based on some really, very brief interaction that we may have had with them, we're not being fair to that person. And so it does increase our stress because I think that, deep down inside where we realize that we're not being fair to that person. But there are some sort of deep-seated reasons why people will judge other people, right? And so it's really important that if you find that you might be participating in some judgment about other people or in situations that you're in, then again, it's very important to reflect, go inside and try to explore why you might be judging other people negatively. Because some of the reasons why could be insecurity about ourselves, could be some kind of fear, or could be jealousy or envy, right? So there are reasons why people judge other people. And so if you think that that is something that maybe is part of your life, and you also maybe realize that it's causing tension in relationships, maybe not even outright, because again, we're not always completely upfront with people about the judgments that we're making about them. Sometimes we are, of course, right? Sometimes we may be more subtle about it. So sometimes we may use sarcasm as a way to sort of jokingly let them know how we might be feeling about them or what we might be thinking about them. For anyone who knows somebody who uses sarcasm, I think that we can probably all agree that sarcasm is actually really a difficult type of humor to work with, because the purpose of sarcasm usually is to jokingly say something that you might actually be truthfully feeling about that person, right? And so for the person who the sarcastic comment is being made about, it's very difficult to actually know whether this person is truly criticizing you or judging you, or whether they're just joking, right? And so it can become very confusing, and especially if sarcasm is used with children, they're really not able to discern whether it's just a joke or whether it's serious. And in most cases, they will actually believe that their sarcastic comment is a true reflection of their own imperfections or their own faults, right? So just kind of wanted to spend a few minutes and talk about that today, and kind of, bring it to people's attention that and we all do this, right? We all judge other people. It's a human trait. It's a human characteristic. It doesn't mean that we're horrible people. We're just part of the human race, and it's human nature. But it's so important to be aware that if you find yourself participating in things like gossip, or if you find that you really are using sarcastic humor more than anything, or if you find that, to someone's face, you might be nice and kind and sort of normal, but when you go away, the thoughts you have about that person are more judgmental, more critical, more negative, then you might want to just, observe that about yourself, and then reflect and sort of really try to find out what might be driving the judgments that you might be having about this person. And also ask yourself, the judgments that you're making about a particular person, are they actually true, right? Is it fact? Or are they just assumptions that you're making based on maybe a brief interaction you might have had with them, or based on something somebody else might have told you about them, or based on something that makes you feel better about yourself, if that's what you believe about that person, right? So really reflect and ask yourself, why you may be making judgments about certain people. And once you start to observe yourself and start to really reflect and understand better, then you will actually be much better able to actually stop yourself the next time you are tempted to make an assumption or make a judgment about someone, or maybe even tempted to make a sarcastic comment. You would be better able to stop yourself and think it through, and really ask yourself those questions. Is it true? Is it fair? Is it necessary? Again, we talked about this in one of the earlier videos, because we all know that we certainly don't like being judged by other people. Nobody likes to be judged or criticized by other people. I think that we all try our best, and when our best is not good enough, we usually are aware of it, and it can be very painful to hear judgments or criticisms from others, especially if they're in a very negative light. So there's a difference between, constructive feedback versus, negative judgment, right? And so, or criticism. So just kind of wanted to talk about that today a little bit, and I hope that that's helpful in terms of just something else to be aware of, and something else to just keep your eye on as you're observing yourself and observing your thoughts and observing your interactions with other people, and sort of answering some more questions about yourself. What makes you tick, and what's important to you, and what is the quality of the relationships that you want to have with other people. So hope that was helpful, and until next time, stay safe. Okay, take care. Bye.